There he is, Mr. Ed Milet. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Look at that view, man.
Can you see it?
Yeah. It comes in and out of focus, but I can see it. It looks great.
It's not bad.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's a little cold, so I'm a little bit buttoned up, but it's all good.
I'm in Toronto, Canada, man, so cold is a whole new level.
That's relative. Yeah. Totally different. I love Toronto. That's one of my favorite cities on earth. That's like one of the most beautiful, modern, great cities in the world. So, by the way, I want to tell you one thing. Your content is so good. That's why that's how I found you, is your content. I obviously did some stuff on me, but you produce some of the best stuff out there.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
I've been diving into your world, and the Stephanie McMahon interview that you did, was fire.
Thank you. Yeah,
I love that one.
Yeah, thank you. She's an amazing woman.
And the one you did with David Meltzer, sitting, basically looks like the same view, like you're sitting on the beach there.
Yeah,
was awesome.
We sat right down there. That's where we were sitting, looking out at this. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's where we sat. So David and I. So
for my audience who may not be as familiar with what you're up to, Ed Milet, Mr. Max Out, had a huge success as an entrepreneur and now is on a mission to inspire and motivate people to live their best lives. We did a top 10 on him that was fire, and looking forward to featuring more of your stuff. But
thank you.
I'm curious why this? Like you've had so much success. You had your financial success. I know your background, what you came from, and you've turned it around, and such an amazing story. Why now spend I think what you call it, the second chapter of your life, spending now giving back and helping people? What motivated that?
That's a great question. The conversation started with Tony Robbins. So Tony's a friend of mine, and kind of knew I've been speaking on stage and stuff for a long time, and just said, hey, listen, this space needs some people that have real content. And I don't mean that negatively to anybody who else is in the space, but there are, a lot of guys repeat themselves over and over and over. And I don't know, man. Here's the truth, because I ask myself this all the time. I'm doing 7 podcasts today. I'm recording 3 shows of my own tomorrow. And there was a point in time in my life where a day like today, I'd probably just be sitting on this beach. And now those, that's sort of gone by the wayside. I think the answer is this. I really do love people. I love helping people. And I didn't get to where I am alone. I'm not that bright of a guy. I'm not dumb, but I'm not high IQ. I'm not incredibly gifted or talented. I really had a series of mentors enter my life, most of which all at the right time, that helped me get to next levels and stretch my vision and think bigger and course correct me. And so I just feel like I spent the first half of my life kind of building my dream and kind of my resume, and I want to spend the second half of my life, spend it helping other people build their dream and their resume. And so I love it. I mean, it's not work to me. I've enjoyed this last couple of years more than any 2 years of my entire life, just because I've got to know all kinds of different people and fall in love with people in a way that I didn't have before, and I was just sort of a private rich dude. So I'm loving it.
What was the first thing that you did that said, okay, I'll give this a shot? Was it a speech or a video? What happened?
Well, I've been speaking for a really, really long time, but what it really was, it was actually a confrontation, and a good one. We were on my balcony, and Tony said, hey, you need to get into this space. I said, look, man, I like this, but I like that I can go into a restaurant and not everybody knows me, right? I'm going to cuss right now, so I'll give everybody permission, but I just want to say this. He said to me, he goes, that's why you're a loser. That kind of grabbed me at my fire pit, right? And I go, what? He goes, well, you say you want to help all these people, but you don't really want to inconvenience yourself to do it at all. So you don't really want to help everybody. And I'm like, you know what? And my son was there. I said, get your phone. How you do this Instagram thing? I'm not kidding you. And my son holds the phone, and I go, blah, 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 click. And I go, put one of those hash browns on there and post this thing. And like, I should have been hashtags. And I had 3 followers. That was a year. This past May was a year.
Wow.
And so it was almost like a challenge thing. And then all of a sudden I started getting responses. And you know how it is. You'll get a message from somebody that says, hey, what you said really affected me, or it found me at the right time. You know how this goes because you're in this space. And when you really feel like, oh my gosh, I helped another human, because I'll just tell you, everyone has multiple needs. Tony teaches this, I teach this. There's 6 human needs. And when you're young, one of the dominant needs you should have is to be significant, is to be recognized, is to win, is to want to be somebody. And I'll never lose that. All achievers have that. I want to win thing. But there does become a point in your life where that doesn't fulfill you anymore, and you can shift the contribution. And contribution is a need that will never be completely fulfilled. You'll never get overwhelmed with it. You'll never have enough contribution. And so I've sort of shifted. I'm a significance dude. Believe me, it's by no mistake the ocean's in the background here, right? Like you'll see videos with my jet. But I'm not like other dudes probably have those things where I'm like addicted to those things. I know for a fact I want everybody in here to have a jet or live on the ocean or live on the lake. I want you to have that because it's wonderful. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. But I also know for a fact it'll make you happy, but it will not fulfill you. It'll be temporary happiness. There's a big difference between temporary happiness and long-term fulfillment. Long-term fulfillment is contribution. And so, like, this is the stage of my life I've been the most fulfilled. So very quickly I got addicted to the feeling of helping people, and it hasn't ended yet. So that was sort of the genesis of it, was a challenge by Tony and then me following love with what hopefully I can do sometimes for other people.
So this is actually something that I think about too, because I just came back from Tony's thing in New Jersey, like last weekend.
You're at the UPW. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of it? I'm just curious. Good event, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've been before when it was in LA, but this time Tony brought me as a special guest, and like sitting in the front row is a totally different experience. How do you know the thing that you're doing is actually contribution and you're not tricking yourself, that it's still not significance?
Wow, he and I just talked about this. That's so profound, brother. Like, I was talking to Rob Dyrdek about this, who's been one of the guests on my show on Ridiculousness, and he hosts Ridiculous. He's also a very successful entrepreneur. And this is amazing you asked this, because I'm wondering this very thing myself still. And so when I met Rob, I said, dude, you're a contribution guy. The way he talked to my camera crew, how much he loves to help. I go, your contribution and then significance, right? And then we went to a Rams game a few weeks ago. Goes, hey, bro, I've been thinking, I just want you to know I'm significance contribution. I'm still a significance guy. And so right after that, I went to Abu Dhabi. I was with Tony over there for about 8 days. And I said that to him too. And I still think probably I'm a significance person. But now, and this is an important distinction, I get my significance from contributing. I used to get my significance from stuff, winning, achievement, money, what people thought about me, you know, the jet. And by the way, I still get some of it that way. But now the way I feel the most significant is by contributing to others. And so I probably am a significance person, contribution. And it's funny, Rob and I are at the Rams game, and he goes, let's list guys we know. And he goes, Tom Brady, significance contribution. Sly Stallone, significance contribution. Tony Robbins, significance contribution, right? We started listing mega achievers, and we both kind of came to the conclusion that probably the best combination for the most fulfilled people is their significance contribution people. And so I probably, best question, honest to God, that's the best question anybody's asked me, because I'm struggling with how I want to frame that and reference it about myself right now. And I think you're right. It's probably significance and then contribution.
So Tony has you go through what your two things are, and I had growth as my second. So I had significance and contribution as a joint one, and I think last year was probably like 60% significance and 40% contribution, and I feel like this year I flipped it. So I'm 60% contribution, 40% significance. But I don't know if I can ever get to zero. Like maybe it's 90-10 is like an ideal state, 90% contribution, but there's still that 10% significance.
And can I say something on that? Because like, I didn't know we would talk about something probably this profound, but I've gone through all kinds of that with myself. Like, is it that unhealthy to want significance?
Right.
And I even went all the way. I mean, this is extreme, and I'm not telling you I've thought this all the way through, so don't anybody hold me to this. But I went all the way through who most people would say is the ultimate contributor in Jesus. Did Jesus seem to lack all significance? I mean, he did say, I am the Messiah. I am the truth, right? I mean, I think to say that even the greatest contributors didn't have any significance element. I'm not talking about humility. Humility is different. You can be a big significance person and still be humble, right? I think all great leaders have some significance in there. I just do. I don't think it's something to avoid. And I'm no longer trying to act like I'm elevated beyond being somebody who's into significance. And let me say this. If in any way Tony's trying to say he's not after significance, he's not being honest. He loves being significant. He really loves me. So, and I love that like a brother. I love him. But I think even Tony, being honest, would say he's big-time significance person. He can't get through but I'll just leave it there. He likes significance in a good way. And by the way, his desire to gain significance has changed millions of other people's lives, and I'd like to think that that's what I'm doing as well. So,
Got it. Cool. Well, I appreciate your perspective on it, man. It's been something I've been thinking about. You've got your podcast, you've got your YouTube, you've got your Instagram. It's been blowing up.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing my channel. It's 10 years. November, I had my channel, so it's been a decade of this.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. And like you seem to come out of nowhere. It's like it was nothing, and then hey, Ed Milet, you got to follow Ed Milet.
Yeah.
Ed Milet.
Yeah.
So you kind of burst onto the scene, and I love it. Like, what's the next thing that you're focused on? Is it like I want to keep just doing more of what I'm doing? Is it still just a podcast, Instagram, YouTube? Where do you see yourself going?
No, I have a program now called the Arete Syndicate that I've partnered with Andy Frisella on. It's one of them is called the Syndicate. It's a live mentoring program, pretty expensive, where people talk with us every week and we meet once a quarter. And I'm doing that, so I'm actually engaged directly in their lives. Then we created another program called the Arete Accelerator. It's just a few $100s a month, but every week they're on a call with me or Andy, and then we have live meetings from time to time as well, Facebook group. And so I'm working with those folks too. So I'm engaging a little beyond the podcast. In terms of my show, in all candor, I haven't got any of this done, but I've had discussions with Netflix and some other people about taking my show to perhaps another platform or a bigger platform. But what I do want to do is I'm creating a program right now. I just wrote my book, Max Out Your Life, which we've sold about 700,000 copies of. So that's pretty significant. By the way, I'm not pitching this either. It's totally free. You can just go to maxoutbook.com and put in the code MaxOut. The book's free, and there's no upsell afterwards. It's not like click here, buy my book, and then get a seminar. It's just a free book, so you can go get that. And so I'm just trying to start to create more and more content that affects people and find the best mediums to do it. And frankly, the reason that I think my stuff has grown, and I'm not trying to be braggadocious in this regard, my content's good. Like, my content is stuff that could really affect you and change you. I'm not going to tell you 1,100 times to get you money. I'm not going to tell you to be kind 1,100 times and just repeat myself, or binary and all this stuff. The guys just keep repeating themselves, and it's mindless information. I don't even understand how they have following, to be honest with you. It's like, I've heard you say this same thing 2,000 different times, whereas I'm trying to keep my content fresh, relevant, inspirational, but also strategic. And that's not knocking people. It's just, I think you do this very well. Like, if you're going to be in this space, really bring value to people. You know what I mean? If people are going to follow you, give them value and inspiration for the privilege of them following you. So I feel an obligation to try to create stuff daily when I can to move someone's life forward. And so I feel like I want it to be like this. Like, people that follow me feel like, man, I get to talk to him every day just a little bit. And so that's sort of been the genesis of it. And my goal, just so you know, my goal is I want to reach 100 million people the next 3 years with my stuff. And so I've got a lot of work to do. And I've been talking to different people in the space. I've talked to Grant Cardone. I've talked to Andy. I've talked to Tony Robbins. Like, what's the best way to get this stuff out there that's in an unconventional fashion, other than just Instagram, other than just, YouTube? There's got to be better venues. And maybe Netflix is that place for me. I'm not sure.
I would love to see even do bigger on YouTube, man.
I'd like you to help me. To be honest with you, I'm lost there. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to promote it. We just sort of stick my stuff up there. Where I really do well, because my content's long. So I do well on 1-minute videos on Instagram, because I'm pretty good at getting a message out in a minute. And my audios do very well. Maybe that's because I'm not pleasant to look at and my voice is okay, right? But I think the other part of it is just my content's an hour long. I think perhaps that affects people wanting to watch a video for an hour. But I would love, because you're a YouTube guru, I would love you to mentor me on that, because I don't know what I'm doing on YouTube. So I'd love your information on that. Anything you could tell me.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm happy to help. We can take this offline with me and you, or you and your team. But my best video on my channel is 40 minutes long. Like, long is great if it's good, right? And and I know you have good stuff. It's something that I'm talking to, like Tony, same thing. Like, he needs to be going long. Like, his stuff is forever long. Yeah. But you can win. You can, like, YouTube is the place to go long. And you could really crush it.
Let's talk about that. But this is good for other people, because a lot of people that are listening to this great content want to know how to get out there too. And so I'm going to pick your brain about that. That's a big clue for everyone watching this. I learn from everybody. So you're better at getting traffic on YouTube than me. Why in the world would I not humble myself and get everything I can learn from you possibly? And so we're going to do that. So thank you.
I'd love to see you win harder, man. Like,
thank you, brother.
For real.
And that's mutual. I would with you as well.
Most people can make long videos, but they repeat themselves 100 times and not saying anything, where I know you've got like a lot of depth to it, which you can really crush at.
Thank you.
How do you feel about people stopping you in a restaurant now?
You know what? People are wonderful. I did have, there's things that come with it. I had someone yesterday show up at my home. Scared my family. Don't ever do that, by the way, everybody. I mean, you see someone in a restaurant, that's wonderful. You don't go to someone's home. So I love it. And I think anybody who tells you that they're bothered by the attention they get from other beautiful souls has an ego problem. Honestly, man, it's a wonderful thing. For me, sometimes like, wow, I can't believe people listen to me. And so I'm grateful for any positive. I'm actually grateful for any interaction. Even if I've had people give me feedback that, I interviewed Rachel Hollis, whom
great.
I adore her, right? And we had such an amazing interview, and it got several 100,000 audio downloads. And I had a few people message me say, hey, you referred to her as precious in the interview. Don't refer to a woman as precious. I'm like, my God.